Hey, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining me on this wonderful Tuesday evening. I always appreciate you guys joining along the show. So thankful for you taking the time out of your evening to join me and my guests to have a good conversation. So before we get started with the introduction, let's go ahead and get the particulars that I usually cover out of the way like we do every single day. So guys, if this is your first time watching us on YouTube, we are streaming live on YouTube. You can check us out on our YouTube channel. As you can see, there it is down below. If you go to www.youtube.com/C made from scratch broadcast, do us a favor if you're watching us there live, hit the subscribe button and also hit the notification bell. It'll let you know whenever we do plan new scheduled live videos and whenever we do drop new live content on the channel. So thank you so much, guys, if you're watching on YouTube. And then we're also streaming live on Twitter. So if you're watching on Twitter, guys, you can follow us there live on Twitter, and that is at MFSB Live on Twitter, and that's just short for Made from Scratch Broadcast Live. So if you're watching on Twitter, thank you so much for following along. Do us a favor, follow us on Twitter and we'll follow you back, okay? And then we're also streaming live on our Facebook page. So if you're following on Facebook, go to www.facebook.com/Made from Scratch Podcast. A little bit different there on our Facebook page, but then I'm also streaming there as well on my personal page. So if you're connected with me either through the Facebook page or my personal page, you can watch us live there. Either way, do us a favor, hit the like button. It'll let you know whenever we do have lives going on. It'll send you notifications whenever we do go live on Facebook. So if you're watching there, thank you so much for following along and send me a request. And then finally, we are streaming live on LinkedIn, guys. So if you're watching on LinkedIn, thank you so much, guys. You can follow there on LinkedIn through my profile. Just connect with me at Gabriel E. Leal on LinkedIn and you'll be seeing this live. So I think that's just about, oh, one more. Sorry about this. Go to the website. You can always check us out on the website there as well. It's www.madefromscratchpodcast.com. You can go past episodes. You can find links to our podcast, which we do stream out on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Overcast. There's quite a few that we do stream on, so go check us out there as well. You can catch the audio version of this evening's show on there. And then finally, we have our internet radio station. Again, we're working on that, but thank you so much, guys. Enough about that. Let's get started into this evening's guest. So just a little bit of background, and we'll go into this a little bit more, but she was born and raised in the Amish culture. And, one of the things that was interesting when I first reached out to her was learning about the culture of her backstory and what she had to go through. So she has worked really hard to put herself in the position that she is in now. She is now a speaker, she's a writer, and she also does pretty interesting, again, powerlifting. She's a competitive powerlifter. So guys, do me a big favor and welcome my guest for the evening, Emily Adams, to the show.
Thank you
Hey,
so much.
No problem. Thank you for joining me. I'm always appreciative of it so much. So we got people saying hello. David Pollock. Yes. So, and then you can also check out what she does. There's the link if you want to go check her out on her website. That's www.emilyadams.net, guys. So go check her out as well. So let's go ahead and get started, with the evening. So one of the first things that, like I was kind of explaining to the audience, was how when we first interacted with each other, and when I first learned about your story, I was kind of blown away a little bit of what you've done. So kind of walk us a little bit. That what kind of saved it for you. That way you can explain it a little bit better because it's your own journey. But kind of tell us a little bit more about yourself for those who are unfamiliar with Emily Adams. Kind of walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah, so I was actually born and raised in the Amish culture, like you mentioned, in Indiana. So first off, I'll say there's multiple different Amish cultures. And for those that are already asking the question, is Rumspringen a thing? I will clarify that for you now. for certain parts of the Amish, yes, it's a thing, and they're a little bit more flexible. The way I was raised, it was not a thing. But at the age of 16, we were allowed to go hang out with a youth group. So that's kind of where the whole concept of Rumspringen came from, because people thought they actually got the choice to go live a different lifestyle, which is not accurate. But anyway, so I would say probably at the age of 12 or 13, I graduated school when I was 14. We only went to the 8th grade education. And it was a 2-room schoolhouse, so grades 1 through 4, and then 4 through 8. So after school, kind of the plan for women in the Amish was you graduate from school, you help out, and then you go start becoming a mom. Like you learn all these cooking, cleaning, whatever skills to become a mom. So I was not your typical Amish girl. I was a tomboy. I loved to be at anything outdoors, active, trained horses. And so when I graduated from school, I started helping my dad with his business and did a lot of horse training. And I started questioning if there was more and why. Why did we do this? Why did we have all these rules? The Amish is a very religious culture. And it's a very much fearing God culture. So it's not completely different spiritual and religious for me, but that's a whole other topic. Anyway, so finally at the age of 17, I made the decision to leave, knowing that if I left, I was not able to come back. I was not able to come back to the culture. I was turning my back on everything I had known and was raised. So during that process, I learned, I think looking back now, that was the first time I really had such a strong mindset, because I had gotten to the point where I could black out. So once people start finding out, that, oh, she's looking to leave the Amish culture, usually they send church members in to try to convince you otherwise. And when I say convince, that's more of like a brainwash tactic. So it's like, if you leave, you're going to hell. And so I was like, you know what? If we say God is love, this isn't love. And I kind of just was like, I might as well live my best life. And if I go to hell, I go to hell. Like that's where I was at. I knew I had to get out. So I left when I was 17, and I had the intention of going to college and getting my degree, because no one in my family has gotten a degree or has even graduated high school. And when I went to go get my GED, they actually told me I had a 6th grade education in the public school systems.
Oh, wow. So
therefore, I got my GED, and I was planning on going to college, and then I became pregnant with my oldest, and not something that was planned. So at the age of 18, I had my oldest son, and at 19, I got married, because in the Amish culture, they get very early married, so anywhere from 18 to 20. And the interesting thing about the Amish culture also is if you get pregnant with someone, you're automatically married, and there are no divorces.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
So still being wired that way, I was pregnant. I was like, yes, we have to get married. And, completely, wrong decision on my part. Didn't know that at the time. But anyways, a year and a half into the marriage, it was a very verbal, abusive marriage and controlling. And I knew I needed to get out, but I was scared. So I stayed, because I had found out I was pregnant with my youngest son.
Oh, yeah.
So I had ended up having 2 boys, finally got out of the marriage. And then I started to take a look at who Emily is, what she needs to do with her life. And I knew I was called always for something bigger. But I thought that was going to college and getting my degree and being a strong leader. I've worked in the automotive industry, and that was kind of my background of things. So decided to start going to college, and meanwhile also needed the outlets for going through the divorce. So I joined the gym and started working out and started running Spartan races.
Wow.
I ended up running Spartan races and kind of got tired of that, and then found powerlifting from going to the Arnold in Columbus, Ohio. And that kind of started my journey with powerlifting. But for the college, what I saw is it gave me an outlet and something else to do. So even though, I was single mom at the time, And I was determined that I was going to graduate within 4 years. And I went in to see my student advisor, and I said, look, I want to get a bachelor's degree and I want to do it in 4 years. And she's like, well, you work full time and you have 2 boys and you're a single parent. Like, that's really not possible. You need to plan for 6 years. And I was like, no, you don't understand. I don't have 6 years. I have 4 years. I was like, I will stay summer every semester. I was like, that's how I need it to be mapped out.
Mm-hmm.
And she agreed hesitantly. She did not like it at all. She doubted, that I was going to, be able to do it. And she's like, you're going to be failing classes, and I was like, okay, whatever, set it up. And I actually was able to graduate in 4 years. And when I graduated, she actually told me, she's like, you're the first one I've ever seen prove me wrong. She said, usually they will drop out. And, I'm not going to lie. There were times that I wanted to drop out. I never had algebra or geometry or wrote a paper a day of my life. And when I had to learn this, I only ended up failing one class, which was a trig class, some kind of math class. Had to retake that one, but I still graduated within 4 years. And, mentally, I was very, very focused, and I knew, like, in 4 years, I'm going to have this degree.
Wow.
So meanwhile, I had started powerlifting and just lifting in general. I had lost 65 pounds, and it gave me so much confidence, lifting weights, running. It was like an adrenaline for me. I didn't realize I was an adrenaline junkie.
Hey, you learn new things.
Yes. Then I started powerlifting, and I got, from the time I saw my first competition and decided, I'm going to do a competition, the adrenaline I got off the platform and the self-esteem and confidence that I got was unreal, because it just made me realize how strong I was physically, but also mentally. Like, lifting in general is a very mental thing. And I realized that I now say that motivation is kind of BS, because you can be motivated to do anything. It's actually the discipline to keep going and the mental mindset of, this is hard, but guess what? As soon as I overcome this block, I'm going to be in a much better space, right? And so that's kind of the training side of it. But I had set a goal of doing 1,000-pound total. That was my goal when I started powerlifting. That's huge numbers for my weight class. I was like, if I get 1,000 pounds, I can retire. And in December of 2019, I actually competed in a drug tested competition. And I was so focused going into the competition of, like, I was claiming it, like, I'm getting 1,000 pounds. I visualized all my lifts, and my best friend, who's also my coach for powerlifting, she called all the lifts, and I didn't know what I was lifting. And I did that so I wouldn't psych myself out.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, I ended up hitting 1,013 pounds.
Wow.
And then qualified to go to Drug Tested Nationals, which is this year in September. And I realized at that moment, it's like, whoa, I hit my total, but I tapped into another level of lifting. Like, I'm not done. And it just gave me more drive to keep going. And the mental aspect was there. And at the same time, I was trying to transfer out of my corporate job, which I had landed the corporate job of my dreams. When I started working there, I said, I'm going to retire from here.
Right.
But I started getting that feeling that I'm called for more. I need to do more with my life. I need to make a bigger impact. But I kept, like, taking that feeling and just kind of stuffing it down, because it's an uncomfortable feeling, because we don't really want to listen.
You get that, you get to that point where you're like, am I doing the right thing? Is this what I should really be doing? And even though your mind and body's probably telling you, yes, do it. There's always a little voice in the back of your head. But you know what? It's being able to work past that really pushes you to that next level. So that's pretty impressive that you've gone through all that. You've actually hit your goals, right?
Yes.
And not only just hit it, you went past it a little bit. So, that's, saying, well, I'm shooting for 1,000. You did more than 1,000. So that's even more incredible. So let's touch on a few other things, that kind of speak about your journey. So when you walked away from your faith, what was your feeling about, religion and that sort of thing, taking, walking away from it altogether, and having not total belief in it or disbelief in it, and how has that gone for you, and helped you along your journey? I mean, have you found your way back to faith, or what is that
Yes.
sort of thing?
So it's been a long journey. I left when I'm 17 and I'm 32. And I would say I just a couple months ago found like the difference between religion and spiritual. And I'm a very spiritual person and I'm not religion anymore.
Yeah, hey,
But what I found, like leaving the religion at the time, when I started having these questions and just different things of like, why me? Like, why am I choosing to walk away from this? I can sit here and live this simple life, right?
exactly.
But I just realized that there was more, and I couldn't agree with if God was such a fearful person and I was going to hell for not meeting expectations, but he was also a God of love. I had a hard time really wrapping my head around that.
Yeah,
And I had gotten to the point, and for a while, like I was like, you know what? I don't care about God. I don't care what he's doing. I'm already going to hell. Like it doesn't matter. And I had kind of stopped going to church. And then after a while, I had joined a non-denominational church and gotten baptized, which the baptism was completely different from what I was growing up. Growing up, they just did the sprinkle, and I was immersed when I was baptized.
yeah.
So I got baptized, got involved in a church, and then after my divorce, I kind of fell off of it. And then I kind of came back into
Understandable.
it. And I was still in a very much religious mindset. And it wasn't until last year I really started digging deep. And honestly, meditation really opened my eyes to religious versus spirituality. And I was like, whoa, because I was like one of those that, I'm a powerlifter, I don't meditate. And
Hmm.
meditation's only for monks that do it hours upon hours, and I don't have that time. And when I actually started taking the time and I started seeing the difference, it was so eye-opening. I was like, no, like we have to now get rid of all this religious wiring that I've done or that I've been wired to believe, my thing was always like the expectations was so high that I was never going to qualify to be with God, or that I was never going to be one of his people, because I was wired just with such high expectations. Like you couldn't make a mistake. If you did, you needed to ask for forgiveness, and then these are the consequences. And
Yeah,
that was just very restrictive. So since then, I did a 21-day meditation challenge, and it completely changed my perspective. And I realized the difference between religious and spiritual.
yeah,
There's such a huge thing. And now to actually have that spiritual connection and to have that faith, it is so eye-opening. And it's been like the most amazing thing. It's the thing that I've been chasing my entire life. It's finally finding the happiness in it and knowing no matter what, you're loved and you're good enough. But that comes with a lot of unwiring all the religious stuff.
yeah. And again, that's stuff that as a child it's programmed into you. It's literally hardwired into your mind, and it's very hard to, um, you know, separate, what the difference is when you're talking about faith and spirituality. There's a difference, and for some people, and you know, sometimes people can be spiritual, like you're saying, and don't have to be deeply rooted in their religious, in any kind of organized religion. So because again, it's what makes you happy, right? It's what makes you find your own, path of enlightenment, right? It doesn't, there's not like a direct line. That's the one thing that I tell everybody. uh, it doesn't matter what your faith, what your deity, what it is, as long as you're so, as long as you believe it 100%, and that's what makes you, happy, and again, it makes you bring joy to your life and makes you bring peace. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think Anybody who tries to judge or anything else, you're making it all about the wrong thing. Definitely making it about the wrong thing. And I love the fact that you still have a positive attitude about all this. I mean, here you are talking about all this stuff here, and you still have a smile on your face, which is so wonderful. It lights up a room. And I'm trying to, but again, that's one thing that I tell everybody. If you have a certain situation that you're in, and you can always work past it, there's somebody somewhere who's worked past that the same set of circumstances and has made a success out of it. So I love the fact that you're still doing this, and you still have this joy and this passion in life, and that speaks volumes about your character and who you are as a person. And it goes to about like what I'm going to go to the next question that I wanted to talk to you about. So why is it really important to, why is it really important to have, know more about your emotions that are to help you, grow and develop as a person? So why is it really important to get in touch with yourself emotionally to help you, stimulate your growth and that sort of thing?
Yeah, and I am very passionate about this.
Yes.
The thing about it is I was one of those, like, I've always been a very positive person, and I always can see the positive outlook in everything in life. And no matter what my situation, divorce or whatever it was, I was like, this is a life lesson. I get to choose to, do these things. And, but the problem was I had gotten to the point where I was a positive person. And if something negative happened, I would pour affirmations on top of my positive, to try to stay in that positive state, which is all good until you get to the breaking point. And I wasn't allowing myself to feel the feelings. And what I mean about that is if you have a situation where you are feeling fear around something and you don't acknowledge that the fear is there. Yes, the fear is there. And it's okay. Like, don't judge yourself because you have fear around it. But once you acknowledge that and you're acknowledging your feelings, you're not going to run into this vicious cycle of having, well, the fear is there, pour on affirmations. Now the fear is there of having fear. And it's this vicious cycle. So when you acknowledge the feelings and you understand, like, it's there and it's okay, and I'm not going to judge it, then you can move past it. And sometimes I will tell people, as I started doing some more life coaching, I will tell people, like, some of these feelings may be tied to your childhood, to someone that wired something with it. And now you get to choose to understand what feelings are serving you and what aren't. And you get to rewire yourself. But it ultimately comes to the feelings and the emotions. Like, you have to feel them. And it's uncomfortable. Nobody wants to be uncomfortable. And I get it because I've been very uncomfortable multiple times in my life. And it's not something we sign up for. We're like, no, I'm going to bypass that. So the thing about it is we pick up our phone, we distract ourselves from feeling it, because we don't want to sit in that feeling.
Right. And again, it's so important to kind of get in touch with that aspect of your mind, because again, kind of to what I've said with a few other people that I've had on the show, right? People will spend a lot of time and effort into building their bodies and working and getting in really good shape, but yet they don't spend the time on the greatest muscles that they have, right? And that takes time as well, right? You really have to work to be a positive person. I really didn't believe that a long time ago. If you would have told me that 5 years ago, but no, whatever. That's But I know now, because I've had to do this, and you have to really work at it a lot of the times, because again, you're going to be bombarded on all sides about negative aspects of life, what the things you can't do, what your limitations are, how you shouldn't be doing this, why you shouldn't be doing it. You're going to get all that, and you're even going to get it from yourself. That inner voice inside of yourself that'll tell you, you can't cross that threshold. Don't do this, right? You have to begin to work past that and go, you know what? I'm going to ignore you. I'm going to do it anyway. So that's really, again, you're working not only one half of your body, you're working the other half as well. So you're trying to find that balance. And that's what I tell everybody it's about. Getting that balance in life is if you're good up here and you're good with your body, man, that you're already ahead of the game of so many people, because some people, they either one or the other. I've seen people that really have really great mindsets, right? They're really positive. They do so many things, but yet their health holds them back.
Yes.
Because again, they didn't take the time, right? And then it's the other way around. You see the people that have this awesome, really body that rip. They don't have, their BMI is off the charts. They have all the, 2% body fat. They're just incredible, yet their mindsets are so off whack, so off kilter. And you go, oh, God, so yes, it takes a lot of work. And that's good that I love the fact that you've done that. That here you are, again, like I said, with your backstory, and then you're still working it from so many angles. I mean, you've done incredible things. When you got your bachelor degrees in 4 years, right? That takes a lot of work. That takes work, commitment, and sacrifice. And you've done the same thing with your health, and you've done the same thing with your mental health. And that's, again, I think that's why it's so awesome to see and find people like yourself, Emily, in this world, because again, I think that's the ray of light that we all need to see. So I did have one question from the crowd, and I'm going to pull it up. And I don't know if you can see it, but David Pollock was just asking, do you have any contact with your family at all? So that's another question that, it's up to you if you want to answer it. I just wanted to close it out there.
I'm an open book, so I'm open to whatever questions.
Okay, so here you go, David. That's just for you.
So at first, no, I did not have any contact with my family at all. And then what happens, I left first, and I was not married at the time. And a couple years later, my sister left, who was married and had children. So they were the only grandchildren, right? And then a couple months later, my other sister had left, and she also had children. So now my parents' grandchildren were all gone, and they wanted to see the grandchildren. So then they started being like, okay, you can come home just so we can see the grandchildren. And see, I was out of it. I had kids, but they weren't as close to my children, right?
Mm-hmm.
So eventually we kind of all got on the same page, and we were able to reconnect, but it wasn't something that happened overnight. And we had to have a lot of discussions, because at first it was, you can come home if you wear a dress, or if you dress a certain way, or if you do these certain things. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. This is who I am. You're going to have to accept me for who I am. And it was really hard, because at the same time, I wanted to have a relationship with my parents,
of course,
and, have my boys. But now it's nice, because we kind of agree to disagree, and we all get along, and we don't have any stipulations of like, you have to wear these certain things when you come home. It's, you can come home, and that's the way it is. So we're welcome to visit anytime. And we've built a better relationship. So I'm super thankful for that, because when I left, I thought, I'm never, ever going to have that relationship.
Yeah.
It's been a blessing.
That's awesome, though, that again, it's funny how time and family will has a way to mend things, right? And again, if you're open to the communication, right? That's one thing, and it's another to say, you know what, this is me, no matter what I am, whether I'm back in that situation that I grew up in, or whether I'm here now. I am this person, and that's awesome that again you've made that connection again with your family, because again, I think it's always great to have family around, and even though sometimes it might not be the perfect situation, I don't think anybody has that situation at all. There's something somewhere, there's always somebody that has some sort of discord or disconnect from somebody in the family. And, just like David says, here you go. Time can heal all wounds. Yes, it can. It does work in miracles. So that's awesome. And, I again, it's the fact that here you are again, speaks testament to who you are as a person. So let me ask you just a couple other questions. So with everything still going on in the world these days, has the whole pandemic thing affected you, like with your speaking or doing any of your competitions? How's that worked out for you recently?
Yeah, so I'm going to be one of those people that are going to say that the pandemic was actually a blessing for me.
Oh,
And
okay, there you go.
I will tell you that the reason why it was a blessing for me is I was able to connect with my boys at another level. And I needed that time and that connection with my kids. And it was so nice. And the other part of it was, my competition did get moved out. I was originally supposed to compete in June, and
Oh, yeah.
so now it got moved to September, which is fine because I was going into the June meet thinking I was going to hit a 425, 430 bench or 430 deadlift, 430 squat, and a 230 bench. Now, since it's in September, I've just bumped the numbers up. So I'm going to go in, hit 450 on squat and deadlift and a 240 bench. So like it helped me just, rewire that. But also during the pandemic, I was able to do the 21-day meditation challenge of just really slowing down. And it was so uncomfortable. I will tell you, when I first started meditation, I was like, man, this is very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But there is power in being still and being present and awareness. I mean, my level of awareness like increased. And then I did a very deep dive on who I was as a person. And it affected my speaking, but I still writing. And I had left the corporate world to be a nutrition coach. And I realized during this time, that's not aligning with me. And now I want to go more the life coaching and coach people how to have a powerful mindset. Because honestly, once you figure out how to wire your brain and your thoughts, you've just untapped into an unpotential world. Like it's the sky is the limit. Actually, I don't even know if that's the limit because you can just keep going.
Yeah.
So then I became really passionate with that and started doing a lot of coursework and just a lot of learning and reading. And it's been a blessing. I mean, we've just the relationship I've built with my boys. I needed that time just to slow down because I was one of those that would go, 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 go. And, I would be busy all the time. And now I'm like, no, we're not. We're done being busy. Like we're done. We're going to slow down and just have the connection. And it's been amazing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And that's great that, even right now, this is why I've told some people, yes, I know there's people still hurting. But again, there's people that still have the ability who've taken advantage of this. And it's, like you said, it's been a blessing. So that's super awesome. Again, you've discovered things about yourself, right, that you didn't think you would have the time to do. Yes. So, again, going into meditation, even as uncomfortable as it felt, it took you to a whole different level, took your mind to a whole different level, took you to spiritual to a whole different level because you were able to connect with yourself, more so, intimately, right? You're able to know more about what you've done. And again, here you are. You said you wanted to do nutrition coaching. And you found out again didn't align with what I was doing because you imagine what had happened if you thrown yourself into that at 100 miles per hour. Said, I don't want to go do this, right? And you start finding that this is not what I want to do. This is so that's awesome. This worked out in your favor. And David's telling, David works out a lot too. So he's like saying you're a beast. He's, so that's thank you. And of course, yeah. So he says he loves your positivity and sent you connection through LinkedIn. So yes, Emily is incredible. So that's why, again, when I first, heard about your story and read about it, and I go, okay, I gotta have her on. Not just throwing, empty compliments, but it is incredible that you've done all this work, right? And I have no doubt in my mind that when you start throwing yourself into the life coaching thing, you're going to be just as successful because again, all the things that you've done prior, right? Didn't matter the circumstances, didn't matter what happened. you've still been able to accomplish what you put your mind to, and that's been pretty incredible. And I still tell everybody out there, it is still possible, people. So listen to me. It is still possible to have a positive mindset and still chase your dreams and still go after the things that you want to accomplish. Here is an example I'm having a conversation with right now, that you can do these things. So, if you're letting fear stand in front of you right now and you don't know which way to go, which way to head, there are people out here in this world who are doing it right now, who are taking the time and opportunity. Reach out to somebody. Um, Send a simple message. I'm pretty sure that if you sent something to Emily, she would respond back and kind of just give you,
Absolutely.
yeah, because again, she just seems to have that sort of personality about her, and I love that. So, let's go into the next few couple questions, and these are ones that I usually start asking most of my guests once I start winding everything down. But um, I call people creative souls, right? Because again, I think everybody has a need for self-expression, right? We have to find an avenue to get out who we are into the world. So, how did you start into writing, as a matter of fact? Because again, I'm a writer as well, and it we are different breeds sometimes, the way that we start going into writing. So what was the one thing that really interested you about writing, and how did you start down that path of creativity? Because I love about talking about being creative.
So I would tell you that a few months ago, well, actually before I started writing, I would be like, I am not a creative person, because I thought being creative was more like your arts and craft thing. And I don't like to decorate my house. I don't want to worry about it. I'm not creative that way. But I actually started writing as an outlet as I transitioned leaving corporate world. And when I had put in my 2 weeks at corporate world and had 2-week vacation, I actually started writing, and I started writing my life story, because I was going to write a book about my life story. And I did write. I wrote 56,000 words of it.
Ooh, there you
But
go.
I realized when I started writing, it also made me start processing some emotions and feelings. And there was days I would sit there and cry as I typed, but I felt so much better because I was processing it. And there was other days I would write a few sentences and I would slam my laptop down and I would walk away because I wasn't ready to process that, because it just felt like vulnerable. And I started writing with the mindset of no one's going to read this. I'm literally just writing it for myself. Like whatever happens, happens. And so fast forward, I stopped writing my life story and started writing other books. Now I started writing 4 books. I just have to finish them. But one thing I found that is really fun for me and that kind of fills me up, it's called Help a Reporter Out, where you get to pitch yourself to these stories.
Okay.
And I've been published several times, which made me super excited to see oh, my article made it. So you just basically, it's just a thing of they send you and you get to pick what stories you want to write. And it's something that is fun for me. And I'm all about I am tired of having a life that has no more fun in it. So I'm all about starting to get the fun back, because I'm a big kid at heart. And I was I had to take a step back, because I was how do I have fun in my life? I love working out, but it's fun, right? But how do I get more fun?
Yeah.
So I got me some rollerblades, best thing ever. and I rollerblade now, so I love it. And writing, and then I also noticed starting my own podcast is fun. Doing podcast interviews is so fun for me to talk and connect. I love connection, and
Yes.
I love talking and connecting, whether it's in person or whether it's online. Online is a little bit easier for me than in person, because I'm kind of still on the introvert side a little bit. So
I can understand that.
So online I could be turn off, So in person I'm okay. But it was more of just an outlet for me to start being, and for those that may be struggling, how do I get creative in my life, or how do I have fun in my life? Trial and error is what I will tell you.
Right.
Error.
That is then, and again, that's the best way to learn. Trial and error. That's how we learned everything essentially in life, right? You learned how to walk. You just didn't get up and start doing it. It was trial and error. You just didn't hop on a bike and go, boom, here it is. I'm going. Trial and error. You learn these things, and that's one of the again. I think that's pretty awesome that you've gone through and you've done that. So, because again, I love the creative aspect, and just so everybody knows, it's not easy writing 56,000 words. If you've ever done any kind of writing, when you sit down at the computer screen, I've had days where I've written 3,000 words, 5,000 words, and there's days that I've written 100 words. And because it's just how it flows, it's the ebb and flow of writing. And again, 56,000 words, that's a pretty big novel, folks, if you don't know. That's probably, depending on how it's spaced out, that could have had anywhere from probably about 200 to 250 pages is a lot. So
one day it'll be published.
One day it'll be published, but it's pretty awesome that again, that you did that. And I tell everybody, you know what, you can be creative, no matter what the obstacles are, what the difference is, and you can make it work. I tell everybody that when I do these shows, right, I'm getting the opportunity to be creative. You just got to stop, like you said, you got to stop looking at creativity as picking up a paintbrush or being able to write sheet music or all of this stuff here, right? All that goes beyond just being what I call a creative person. If you write a workshop, if you've written a business plan, if you don't know, you got to be creative to do all these things. These things just don't happen. They manifest in your mind, and you put them out into the world, and you make them a reality. And that's part of being creative. So, hats off to you. That's a lot. It's a big undertaking to do, to want to have to write 4 books. But again, I have no doubt, if not now, maybe in a year and a half, they'll be done, because you have that resiliency about you, and that's one of the things that I think that I hope that a lot of people who are watching this evening see that. That's an interesting part about it all, is the fact that what you're doing and what I do every single day, we go out and we try to have impact in the world. Each of us, but talking about what you're talking about, what we're talking about here. So let me just give a quick shout out to a couple people who've been watching this show. So thank you so much, guys. If you're watching, let's see, on Facebook, let's see, Myra Boss Fullingham, thank you. Otto Ross, Reed Jones, Kristen Root, thank you so much. Sarah Fink-Odell, Becky Galt, Lena Leal, Sophia Nello, and 3 others that I can't see. And of course, Lauren Clark, Monica Rauch, Sarah Capper, Rachel Lowe Gilbrath, and then, and of course, Adam Sinkus. I had David Pollock and a few others. Thank you guys so much, because you make this show what's so fun and interesting about doing this every single night. You guys are what make the show, that make the best part of my day, is that I get the fact that I get to bring interesting people on, just like Emily, and we have a discussion, and and hopefully somewhere down the line, somebody will see this interview and go, you know what, it made an impact on my life, one aspect or another. Whether we're talking about the mental health side of it, whether we're talking about the spiritual side and meditation, or the fact that that she's went out and did these things, that you can maybe find the same kind of determination she has, and you can go out and again, there's no limitations only limitations that you have are the ones you put on yourself, right? That's something that I truly believe. So let me ask you, I swear I usually start getting into the last few questions. So once we get past all of this again, and most of the things are starting to open up and getting lifted, do you have any plans in mind that you would like to go do, certain things that you might want to go experience again that you haven't been able to because of COVID-19?
Yeah, so one of the things that I was looking forward to was having close gym access, and that actually happened today. So I was super excited for that. So that, and I want to go on a vacation with my boys.
Yeah, right. That, and again, that's a lot of things that I've been telling people. We all had the options before. Everybody was, you know what, I want to go on a vacation. I want to go do this, right? And life always seemed to of course, get in the way. And yet here we are now. I think that because of this whole pandemic and everybody being shut in, a lot of people are getting perspective on life now and going, you know what? When I get the opportunity again, I will not procrastinate. I will not wait. I need to find a way to get these things done because, again, nobody saw this coming. And yet, for some people, it's like yourself and myself included, it's been a blessing in disguise. Because again, I got to launch this show. I got to start doing a lot of this learning of how to create a show and all this stuff while the pandemic was going on and while a lot of things were being shut off. So of course, take the time to learn these things, right? So I love the fact that we've both been able to do that and take advantage of it. And David's saying, she's an awesome, radiant guest. Yes, she is.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, David. David's an awesome guy. He's starting a nonprofit to help recipes for people who are on dialysis, how to cook for these people and have recipes and that sort of thing. So if they're on, they're a waiting list or something like that, help them find a healthier way to eat.
I like that.
Yeah. And again, he's an really awesome guy, really down to earth. Had him on the show. He's been super cool. So shout out to you, David Pollock. Awesome. And, once I get around here, let me pull it up. The last question that I usually ask every single guest that I've had on, and it is a little bit morbid, but again, that our time here on this earth is finite. It will end. So, once the book is said and done on Emily Adams, what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind to the world, and what do you want to be remembered for?
Oh, that's a good question. So I would say what I want to be remembered for is someone that believed in others. And I will tell you, that's one thing that I'm very passionate about is I can make you believe in yourself. Yeah. And that's one thing, I want people to see their potential, to see that you have all these things going for you, and the world is yours. And just to see that curtain just be lifted for them.
Yes.
And that in doing so, I've changed their life and they have found happiness and they're living a fulfilled life now. And then they can go make another impact. So it's just continue to make an impact and change lives to one, you can have it all. You can have it all, everything that you potentially want. And you have the power to tap into that full potential.
Exactly right. You can again, I am a firm believer in if you can dream it, if you can create it in your mind, you can make it a reality. You just have to manifest it. And really, again, it's all about concentrating. It's all about, making the commitment to do some of these things. And making the hard decisions sometimes, right? It's about, for some people, it's they won't get to that next level because they're afraid of the risk.
It's uncomfortable.
Yeah, it is. And again, you know about it very well. You took a risk when you left at 17. So you learned that there is a risk reward, though, right?
Yes. And I've taken many risks that didn't work out. So, yes.
But again, you do find these things in life, but you'll never know what's awaiting for you, what great things that you can possibly accomplish if you don't take that first step and you don't take that risk. And, that's so, again, I tell a lot of people that when you have the opportunity to chase something that you've been dreaming about for a very long time, you got to let that fear in the back of your mind not stop you from making the decisions that you need to make to, again, hopefully build your dreams. And there's nothing wrong with being with having a dream and turning it into something. So exactly what David is saying. So vulnerability, right? So it's okay.
Yes.
It's okay to feel that way. It's okay to feel that sort of thing. But again, that's the risk reward thing, right? So
Yeah.
if you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you know, that's where you're really going to find the things about yourself that are going to help you grow and develop as a person. And it's a testament to what I've been saying all night. It's a testament about what you've done. It's very, very impressive, and I think that so many people are still out there in the world hesitant to go make their lives what they want them to be. Um, they sit there in the same routines every single day, watching life go by. And
Yes.
it's sad because again, there's somebody somewhere who would want that same opportunity, right? I mean, here we are, we're born into a free society like we have now. And then you have people who might be born into a country where there is a dictatorship and there's, they have all these rules and regulations that you're going to have to live by, or it could mean death. Um, so be grateful for the opportunities that you got and go live that life. You have no excuse. I know I'm trying it every single day. Believe me, I'm trying every single day to go live that life that I want. I have these ideas and plans in my head, and the only way that I'm going to accomplish them is by doing this and doing what I love and making the things that I want to spread to the world available to everybody. And that's again, you. Again, I don't know what else to say except thank you so much. You've been awesome, Emily, and
Welcome.
I think everybody's enjoyed your story and your journey, and everybody again finds connection because again it's hard to not like a guest that has this big radiant smile and it's you know I I see that and I think to myself, you know what, I wish more people could be like that. Even though all the factors that are against them, all the odds, all the elements that you want to put on there, whatever it is, it's so easy to wake up and put a smile on your face and go, you know what, I'm happy. I'm going to face the day no matter what, and there's nothing you can do to bring me down. Even if I cry today, guess what? I'm still happy. Even if I feel this, yeah, right. It's the mindset. It's the most powerful thing, and I tell everybody, work that first.
Yes.
Get that. Start getting that into shape. If you're out there running, guess what? Run and get the mind in shape at the same time. Listen to motivational speakers. Listen to affirmations. Whatever you need. Um, and you start pumping that into that mind, man, you'll find out wonderful, wonderful, beautiful things await you in the
Absolutely.
universe. So, again, guys, thank you so much for coming along. Thank you, Emily, for taking the time out of your evening for joining me. And real quick, guys, if you would like to connect with Emily, guys, you can go check her out on her website, and that is at www.emilyadams.net. Guys, you can go find out, connect with her on. You can connect with her on Facebook. She is on LinkedIn as well. Send her a connection. Tell her I sent you. And again, it's so awesome that I'm getting so many wonderful people that are entering my life and that are entering the lives of so many other people. Because again, somebody somewhere, they're going to connect and they're going to go, I love Emily's story. She is incredible. I can be incredible too. If she can, I can. And I want to be just like her.
If I
So
can do it, anyone can do it.
exactly. And that's the whole point about what I do every night is, you know what, even what I'm doing, right? I'm getting on here doing a show and sharing what I love to do every day. I tell everybody, you can do this. Build your voice. Build the way that you can connect to the world, and people will come to you. People will find you. So thank you again, Emily. You've made the night so fun, and I've had a really great conversation. And just sit tight. I'm going to go ahead and tell everybody else, though. Thank you guys again for joining me watching this evening. And just a quick shout out for tomorrow evening's guest. Her name is Rena Friedman Watts, and she has an interesting story as well about how she got started in the in the film and industry, and she's a really big time connector. She works a lot of things behind the scenes, and we're gonna have fun talking about how she got started with her journey, which is pretty brave, pretty brazen what she did. Just a quick brief, she kind of was looking for a job, and she was across the street from the Jerry Springer show, right, where they film it. And she walked in and said she had an appointment, right? And the guy went in there and walked her in. And she had an interview with Jerry Springer, got hired. And yeah, so she worked on his show for a while, right? So taking that risk reward, right? So so her story again as well is pretty interesting about how she got started and some of the things that she's done in her career. So guys, thank you again so much, Emily. Thank you guys for watching the show. I always appreciate you. All the gratitude in the world. Just remember, guys, stay safe, practice good social distancing. We'll still get all through this together, guys. Peace, love, happiness, compassion, empathy. Show up for your fellow human being. We all need it right now. These are tough times, and I think everybody needs a little bit of love. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Emily, again. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, 7 o'clock, same bat time, same bat channel. Y'all have a great evening. Bye-bye, everybody.